Somebody say yeah. Say it again, say yeah. Somebody say yeah for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You look good out there, baby. I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Look here. It's been too hard living, and I'm afraid to die. Look here. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, I wish I could come out there where you are, baby. A long time coming, but I know, look at here, a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Look at here. Let me say one more thing. I go to the movie and I go downtown. But all I can hear is somebody keep telling me, oh boy, don't hang around. It's been a long. If anybody know what I'm talking about, let me see you wave your hand. I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. But I've got to take my time and say this, look. Then I go to my brother. Yes, sir. And I tell him, I said, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me. He knocks me back down on my. The big time that I thought. Somebody say yeah. I can last long. I know I'm able. I'm able to carry on. It's been a long, good God Almighty, a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Look at here. One more time, look. Then I go to my brother. Somebody take your hand back and forth like this. Everybody. You sitting in the first balcony too. Help me, please. All over the auditorium tonight. All over the hallelujah. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. That's the times what I thought I couldn't last for long. I know, baby, I'm able. Change gonna come.
Diversity, the state of having people who are different races or who have different cultures in a group or organization. Our number one goal at the Smoking Glass Hour is to create diversity. We believe diverse conversations with diverse groups of people makes America better. Listen to our broadcast on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Diversity is the only way to go in 2015. And don't forget, tell a neighbor, tell a friend about the diversity on the Smoking Glass Hour. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Beer and Glass. We are honored to have you as a guest tonight and want to thank each of you for your faithful support. Without further delay, allow me to introduce to you Mr. Baron Glass. Mr. Glass, take it away.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. Tonight we have a different type of broadcast more different than what we've been doing in the past. Tonight we're going to try to touch on several different topics. We're going to talk about a new curriculum, which is Sex Education Curriculum, that was introduced to the Caldwell Parish school system this past week, Tuesday night. We're also going to talk about drugs in the community, and we're going to follow up with our normal broadcast of local and state politics. We're looking at today, July the 9th of 2015, about 7:02 p.m. Central Standard Time. What I'm going to do, I'm going to allow everybody opportunity who is out there who may be driving in the traffic or at home trying to settle down to listening to the broadcast. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to talk about some of our listeners that's out there. We know we have them from South Louisiana, St. Martinville. We have them from Mamou, Louisiana. We have them from Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. I want to send a special shout out to Mr. Linton Smith out of Jam Vibes Radio out of Columbia, South Carolina, and we hope that you guys were able to tune in and listen to our broadcast carried in the archives there Tuesday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also want to send a shout out to Pastor A.F. Riggins, Senior Pastor Founder, Real Life Church out of Houston, Texas. I know he's out there in the Houston traffic. He's driving around. Hopefully he's looking and listening in to the broadcast. Also want to send a shout out to Reverend Andrew Yerby, who is out there listening, along with some people in Shreveport, Louisiana, who he allowed to come on the broadcast. We also have Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Miss Gwen Hilliard, representing the Red Cross down there. Also, Mr. Wendell Thomas, 18-wheeler drive. We have Mr. Ramrod out there traveling from Louisiana to Mississippi, Indianola to be exact, and he's out there listening. Also, we have Mr. Jake Rockemore in from, I believe, San Diego, California. We have them out there listening. We have Baltimore, Maryland, I believe, maybe Atlanta, Georgia. Miss Brenda, hello to you out there. Also, Columbia, South Carolina, as we stated. Also, we have those in Atlanta, Georgia, those who are in other parts of the country. Professor Dr. Riley Branton out in North Carolina, who is actually visiting here, and he was one of the individuals that we showcased on Facebook the early part of the week. So we hope that everybody's having a good day so far. We hope that everybody will be able to eat a decent meal. And remember that just because you are eating a good meal, a good hot meal, there's always somebody else that's out there suffering. Also, I believe we have Miss Deanne Bingham, the executive director from the Louisiana Youth for Excellence Office of the Governor's Office out there listening tonight, and I believe she is one of the individuals that's responsible for bringing the Choosing the Best program to several different schools here in the state of Louisiana. As a matter of fact, more than several. We also have, I believe this program is used in 47 states. Now, if you're out there listening and you want your voice to be heard, you can go to the www.thesmokingglasshour.com. If you look right below the player about a fourth way down, you'll see Re-Examine Our Future, America Must Change. Well, as a matter of fact, let me take that back. let me take that back. If you go down, you will see the live broadcast that says Sex Education Curriculum Local Politics, and you'll see live. If you hover over to the right, you'll see a little chat sign that's moving, a chat icon, and you can go directly there and you can send us your message, because we would like for you to tell us how things are going, whether you like for this curriculum to be implemented in the Caldwell Parish school system. Also, there's another individual that's out there. If you want to remain anonymous with your comment, you can do so by sending your message there. Also, Mr. Dale Summers that's listening out, and Lake Charles, Louisiana. We have the candidates that's out there. Mr. David Crane submitted some information, supplemental information rather, that I'm going to be reading some of that tonight. Matter of fact, all of it. So we're going to start out tonight. We're going to talk about the sex education curriculum in Caldwell Parish. Then we're going to go over and talk about drugs, because for some odd reason, there are people who feel that drugs do not exist. And I think that's the most disillusioned aspect that a person can have. But we're going to touch on that. And then we're going to leave there, and we're going to go directly to the local and state politics. But before we close out, I have a commentary that is probably going to step on some toes. It's probably going to thump some heads, and it's probably going to make some people angry and or upset. Why? Because it seems as if most people nowadays are afraid of the truth. As a matter of fact, some people rather climb up a tree and tell a lie than stay on the ground and tell the truth. So once again, we want to thank you for listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio. Tonight's topic, sex education curriculum, local politics, and drugs in the community. When we look at this curriculum, it's called Choosing the Best, is the national leader in evidence-based, abstinence-centered sex education. When we look at this program, there was a post that was sent out the earlier part of the week. How did you feel about sex education being taught to your kids? And many of you went out and responded. There are some who has this position that, or have the position that, why are we just teaching abstinence when we know that there are other kids out there who are actually engaging in the sex situation? So we're going to talk about this, and once again, you can send or submit your information to us live. Now, had we had the guest on, we could have had it to where all callers could have called in, because we're operating on two different broadcasts. We have one, which is right now. We can do it directly live, accept the chat, live chat, and then we have one where we can go and actually accept the calls to come in that's broadcasting live. So here we are. I believe this program has over 4 million students that have been taught since 1993. It has been used in 47 states, and I believe Louisiana is one of the 47 states. Now, every parish in Louisiana is not necessarily using the program, not because they don't want to. I'm not sure the program has been offered there yet. But when you look at Caldwell Parish itself, Columbia, Louisiana, Caldwell Parish school system, there was a presentation given to the Caldwell Parish School Board about teaching the sex education curriculum in the classroom. Now, the program, the distinctives of the program, it is evidence-based, which means that it has been peer-reviewed and published studies showing significant impact in reducing the initiation of teen sex. Now, it is also medically accurate, which it has been certified by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services since 2011, if I'm not mistaken. The Abstinence Center is a risk avoidance approach. Strongly promotes abstinence as the best and healthiest choice. Educates about contraception, but always in the context of promoting abstinence as the healthiest choice. Now, we know when you look at the statistical data, too many teens continue to get pregnant and contract STDs. When we look at the 12th grade, we know that 63% will have had sexual intercourse. So if you are out there listening live now, or you will be going back listening to the archive, when you look at your 12th grade student, they more than likely will fall into the 63% category of having sexual intercourse. Now, when we look among sexually active teens, nearly 1/3, which is 31% or 33%, give or take, of teen girls aged 15 to 19 have been pregnant. Let me say that again. When we look at sexually active teens, 1/3 or 31%, 33%, give or take, teen girls aged 15 to 19, and that I believe is the 9th grade through the 12th grade, give or take a year. They have been pregnant. Those are alarming facts that we as parents, leaders, ministers, all of those individuals who are leaders in the community, we need to look at those numbers and we need to look at those facts. Now, 40% of teen girls aged 14 to 19 have STDs. Now, when you look at this situation, sometimes all of this information go unnoticed. And when it goes unnoticed, what happens is it can create problems down the line. So when we look at this program, even though it may be from an abstinence standpoint, the question is, do you feel that this particular curriculum should be taught to your kids in the classroom? Now, we have had some who say that this should not happen from the school standpoint. Everything should be done from the standpoint of being at home by the parent. But we know that a lot of parents do not have, a lot of kids rather, do not have parents at home. And when you look at nowadays, some kids' parents are just as off as they are. And when I say off, I'm using that in the context of having no knowledge of what goes on outside of the home itself. So when we look at this program, one of the questions is this: choosing the best is an abstinence-centered sex education program. What does this mean? Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you exactly what this does mean. Choosing the best offers a risk avoidance approach that strongly promotes abstinence as the best and healthiest choice, while also teaching students about goal setting, healthy relationships, refusal skills, and character building. Now, when we look at the refusal skills, when we look at the millennials, 99% of our kids, they have to deal with something that we never had to deal with, which is 100% strong peer pressure. And that peer pressure is so strong to where a kid can be coming from a home that is teaching good biblical skills, but when they get out and face those who are not receiving those biblical skills, which they are facing the devil himself, they yield to the pressure. Now, when we look at choosing the best informs students about the significant risk associated with casual sex, including unplanned pregnancy, STDs, and negative emotional consequences. Choosing the best also emphasizes the benefits of waiting, empowering students to make an informed choice about their sexual behavior. Now, what does that mean? I just told you what it means. So now we're trying to give you basically a digest of what the program is about, what your child would be involved in, how this would benefit your child, how this will actually benefit you as a parent, because we know that sometimes some parents really don't know how to talk to their kids. As a matter of fact, they are more afraid to talk to their kid. So the question remains, if you're not going to do it, we know that they're going to get it from the streets. Why not give them the other component of learning something about abstinence inside of the classroom, which we know that inside of the classroom should be the most safest place that a kid can go. Now, when you flip that over, we know that inside of the classroom sometimes has been the worst place to put a kid, because we know when we look at the reality, let me back up. When we look at society as a whole, I'm a realist. So I talk about everything that happens. Everything that's inside is not good, and everything that's on the outside is not bad. So we're talking about both concepts. We know that inside of the classroom, the majority of the time, it's all good. But here's the flip side of that. When we look back with the Catholic priests, we invested and trusted our kids with the priest, and we know what happened. So some have indicated that is some of their concern, or partly some of their concern. So we want to talk about all of this because our message is clear that our goal here at the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD is the one thing, and that is to go out and make a difference. Now, the question is this: does choosing the best provide students with information about contraception? And the answer to that is yes. Numerous contraceptive methods are discussed, along with complete information about the effectiveness and limitation of each with respect to both pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. Choosing the best also shows, for example, that when used consistently and correctly, condoms are most effective at reducing the risk of HIV, 85% versus no condom at all, but are less effective in protecting against STDs such as chlamydia, herpes, and HPV. The facts presented are supported by the Center for Disease Control, illustrating the Center for Disease Control conclusion that condom use cannot guarantee absolute protection against any STD, and teaching that only abstinence offers complete 100% protection against both STDs and pregnancy. Choosing the best fully educates about contraception, but does not advocate or demonstrate contraceptive use. Now, if you want more information, you can contact the Caldwell Parish School Board members, you can contact the Caldwell Parish School Board Superintendent. You can talk to Mr. David May. You can talk to Ms. Joda Kinney. You can talk to Mr. C.R. Martin. You can talk to Mr. Gary Castles. You can talk to Mr. Jack McKithen. And you can also talk to Dr. John Robinson, the board president. Or you can talk to yours truly, Baron Glass. But what I want to do is make sure that we put out accurate information, so when you go out and talk about this, you will have as much information as possible. You won't be hearing this from a third party on the streets that sex education is going to be taught in the classroom from an ineffective way. No, we're talking about abstinence. We're talking about things that have been evidence proven throughout this country. And once again, I believe it's 43 different states is already using this particular concept. So here we are. Now, I'm not advocating for you right now. I'm not advocating against right now. I'm providing facts because my facts are going to be based on what you as a parent, you as a constituent, you as a taxpayer, what the feedback that you give us is what we're going to look at. But I wanted to be fair about this because I know I have heard many people talk about, well, I'm tired of government being in my life. I'm tired of government telling me what to do and what not to do. I'm tired of government overstepping its bound. Well, what is the school system? It is a form of local government, so we want to be honest and open about this. However, you have to look at the pros and the cons. And if you are a parent that's out there and your child is already having problems and you know that you are not doing this, well, what you can do is help society by allowing something like this to be considered for your child, for the betterment of your child, and the future of your child. Now, choosing the best research base, or is it evidence based? The answer to that is yes. Okay, we know that a peer-reviewed study published, I believe it was back in March of 2012, found that choosing the best successfully delays sexual initiation. The research, which utilized a rigorous, randomized, controlled study design, evaluated the choosing the best high school curriculum among 1,200 ninth grade students. The results showed that students who received choosing the best were 1.5 times more likely to delay the onset of sexual behavior. That sounds like a plus to me. These results were achieved in the actual school setting among a diverse student population and are consistent with earlier studies on a choosing the best middle school program, which was found to reduce the initiation of teen sex by 47% versus the control. Now, we know once again that if you grew up in the 60s, if you grew up in the 70s, if you grew up in the 80s on to the 90s, and then we fast forward to the 21st century, times have changed. Times are totally different. Times that you grew up, you probably were just dealing with marijuana. Today, they have to deal with all other drugs. Let's look at crystal meth for an example. Crystal meth is the easiest thing to make, but it's the worst thing to get a hold to. And once you get a hold to, it's almost impossible to shake it. Now, when I say impossible, I'm using that loosely to stress the fact that once you get on it, there's going to be some problems to get off of. Can you get off of it? Yes, you can get off it. The probability of you getting off it, only God and you know that. So when we look at research-based, not only is this research-based, it is 100% evidence-based, which again, evidence-based means that it has already been tried, tested, and delivered positive results. Now, what parent out there would not want positive results for their child? And once again, I'm stressing the pros and the cons of the program. You make the choice as to what you feel is best for your child. We are going to make a choice as to what we feel as policymakers, which would be. Now, if you want to opt out, I'm not sure. That's what I'm considering. Okay, it's better to have something than nothing. Even though I may stand on one side of the fence or the other, the goal is to try to make a difference. And once again, when you look at the acronym WMAD, that stands for We Make a Difference. We are making a difference now because you, the listener, you, the voter, can sit right there in your lazy boy chair. You can sit right there with your beer in your hand. You can sit right there if you're drinking coffee or tea and listen directly to this broadcast. Now, let me tell you this. You will not hear this on MSNBC. You will not hear this on Fox News. You will not hear this on any other affiliate that's out there. Why? Because the goal is to control the tempo. Our message is clear. We're not trying to control anything other than the right and the fact that you get information that you can use to make a conscious decision regarding local politics, regarding drugs, and regarding your child's well-being in Caldwell Parish School System. Here tonight, we're talking about sex education curriculum, local politics, and drugs in our community. Now, you see, some people are delusional. They feel that what we're talking about now, none of this happened. It can only happen in Texas. It can only happen in other states. Well, if you feel that way, then this broadcast is probably not for you because we are realists. We're talking about things that are happening. We're not talking about things that we think should happen. We're talking about things that are happening. And based on them happening, we are talking about reality. So if you're not a realist, this broadcast, once again, is not for you. And that's fine because some of us look at Fox News. Some of us look at MSNBC. Some of us look at CBS, NBC, so forth and so on. Now, choosing the best is medically accurate. The answer to that is yes. The Administration for Children, Youth and Families with the United States Department of Health and Human Services has completed a thorough and objective review of the medical and scientific information in the Choosing the Best program and found them to be, guess what? Medically accurate. Another question that somebody may have. Do teens respond well to the abstinence-centered message in choosing the best? Well, I'm glad you asked. The answer to that is yes. Normal adolescent curiosity is a part of growing up, and we know that. And the media message that casual sex is expected, fun, and has no consequences has a powerful influence on young people. And if you notice, we talked about that peer pressure. However, when given the facts concerning the physical and emotional risk of sexual activity and the rewards of delaying sexual initiation, being able to pursue goals and dreams often not possible with an unplanned pregnancy or disease. The majority of teens today are choosing to wait. Does that sound like a plus, or does that sound like a negative? That's your choice. That's your decision. Recent reports from the CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, show that the rates of teen sexual activity have dropped by nearly 13% between 1991 and 2011, and the majority of teens today, 53%, have not had sex. So when we look at television, when we look at disciplinary reports, we always look and find the negative. Here is a positive. Between 1991 and 2011, the majority of teens today, 53%, have said no. What topics are presented in choosing the best program? Well, choosing the best programs are multidimensional and cover a number of critical topics designed to equip teens to delay sexual initiation and avoid the risk of STDs, teen pregnancy, and negative emotional effects. Choosing the Best offers 5 age-appropriate programs for middle and high school students and provides sex and relationship education content in 10 areas. And here they are: risk, emotional STDs, and teen pregnancy; risk reduction versus risk elimination; safer sex, contraception, and abstinence as the healthiest choice; rewards, decision-making, goal setting, marriage planning. We'll look at relationship education; healthy versus unhealthy friendship and relationships; preventing sexual abuse and date rape; the dangers of sex texting; alcohol. Let's look at the dangers of mixing alcohol and sex; refusal skills, setting boundaries, developing verbal skills and assertive skills; pledge, making a commitment to delay sexual initiation; character development, responsibility, self-respect, courage, perseverance, compassion, and respect; parent involvement, parenting skill, parent training, and homework interviews; and building self-esteem, appreciating unique qualities, interests, or skills. So if there's a parent that's out there who is not having a relationship with their child, this is one of the best ways that you can learn and your child can learn at the same pace, and you can have a positive impact in the community. Now, are choosing the best programs fear-based? The answer to that is no. Are choosing the best programs shame-based? The answer to that, simply no. Why does choosing the best promote abstinence until marriage? Well, according to the CDC, the most reliable way to avoid the risk of any type of disease is to be abstinent until you enter into a mutually long-term, mutually monogamous relationship. Okay, the emotional effects of being involved with someone sexually and then having the relationship to end can be devastating for anybody that's out there. Does the core message to delay sexual initiation apply to the LGBTQ teens? And the reason why this is there is because we know that the Supreme Court just handed down a decision, a 5-4 decision, that says same-sex marriages are now legal. Choosing the best contains universally transferable principles that are designed to help all students avoid sexual risk, like heterosexual teens, LGBTQ teens are at significant risk of contracting diseases. Now, the question that some have been asking is, will the instructor be teaching about certain things between male and male, certain things between female and female, or whatever the case may be. So I think it's best that the conversation exists, because when you have conversations, you can always rest assured that somebody will leave there with a better understanding than before they came. So what I'm going to do right now, I know that I've given you a lot of information. We're looking at about 7:31 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to play some sounds of Mr. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, because I know that you out there listening now can be saying, what in the world is going on with this sex education curriculum that he's talking about tonight on the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. So we're going to pause. We'll be back in about 3 minutes and 52 seconds. And we ask that you stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Yeah. Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Oh, picket lines, picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see, oh, what's going on, what's going on, yeah, what's going on, oh, what's going on, right on. Right on. Right on. Mother, everybody thinks we're wrong. Oh, but who are they to judge us? Simply cause our hair is long. Oh, you know we've got to find a way. Bring some understanding here today. Picket line and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Come on, talk to me. You can see what's going on. Yeah, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. Ooh. Right on. Right on. Right on. Right on.
Racism, the belief that all members of each race possess characteristics or abilities specific to that race, especially so as to distinguish it as inferior or superior to another race or races. Baron Glass, host of the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, each and every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on the #1 global 24-hour radio station, WMAD. Join my co-host, April Ayala, and I as we make an attempt to bring this evil system and a way of life for some to the forefront and have an open discussion with civility and honesty with hopes of minimizing this problem that has affected so many lives. We ask that you join us. We all can make a change, and we surely can make a difference. We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. Tonight we're talking sex education curriculum, local politics, and drugs in the community. Now, before we went to break, we're talking about choosing the best, promotion of abstinence inside the school system. And once again, we know that a large amount of parishes throughout the state, not only the state, we know that we have other places that are out there that are utilizing these services. So the question once again is, do you feel that this particular program can be a benefit for your child, or would you like things to be as is, as usual? You can go to, you can contact the school superintendent. She can send you out there and get information regarding the STDs for the state. And I believe they have it broken down into different parishes throughout the state. But if not, when you look at those facts, you will be very unaware of what is taking place. When you look at the results of things, sometimes people are blind, and they'll end up opening their eyes once they see the facts. And what we're looking at are the facts. As leaders within the community, as a governing body, we're looking at what is it that we can do to try to minimize some of the problems that are going on here. Now, yes, once again, we're not talking about government trying to come in and tell you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about offering you a program that could be either a benefit to you or it can have an adverse effect depending on who you are and where you're coming from. Once again, choosing the best is evidence-based, which means that the statistical data that's being provided, it has already been tried, tested, and proven to be worthwhile. So here we are once again. What are teachers instructed to say to students who ask a question about sex or sexuality not covered in choosing the best? So if you have that concern, here's the answer. At the beginning of every program, the Leader's Guide teaching instruction states the following. Please note that some students may have personal questions that are beyond the scope of the material. In these situations, please refer students to a school counselor or nurse per your district guideline. So if you think that your child is going to be able to talk about all of these things that's not part of the curriculum, hopefully this answered your question. Another question that's been asked, are choosing the best program values neutral? The answer to that is yes. The message in the choosing the best programs are based on well-documented medical facts about the healthiest choices rather than suggesting what is or isn't morally appropriate. So here we are. We're cutting to the chase. We're talking about facts that have been proven. We're talking about a program that has been tried and tested. We're talking about a program that has been titled by the Centers for Disease Control, evidence-based, which means that it has been used in positive results. Now, if you're expecting absolute results, I think that would be putting a burden on individuals that would be unfair, because there's nothing that's absolute and certain other than if you are born, you're destined to die. So when we look at all of this, I want to make sure that everybody understand that there's going to always be room for flexibility. There's going to always be room to move around. If you don't have room to move around, then what you do is you create a problem for yourself and all those other things that you're doing. Now, are the choosing the best programs based on religion? Well, the answer to that is no. Choosing the best programs are based on well-documented medical facts and do not include, let me say again, do not include any references to religion. Choosing the best programs are about promoting health for our teens. Although some teens that choose abstinence may also be influenced by their personal religious convictions, choosing the best is about making healthy choices to be free from the risk of STDs, unplanned pregnancy, and negative emotional consequences. It is about freedom to pursue future dreams and goals, regardless of religious preferences and convictions. So when we look at this, none of this trumps a religious, I'm not into religion. I'm into believing what thus says the Lord. So when we look at this, whatever your belief systems are, whatever your value systems are, this program, based on the specifics, is not and does not intrude or impede on any religious aspect, religious belief, or whatever the case may be, or however you want to look at it. Now, another question that has been asked: do any medical organizations endorse abstinence-centered education? Well, the answer to that is yes. The American College of Pediatrics and the Medical Institute are two such organizations that actually endorse abstinence-centered education. When we look at the ACPR, if you want to call it the American College of Pediatrics, states on its website, and you can go there, it says the American College of Pediatrician strongly endorses abstinence until marriage, sex education, and recommends adoption by all school systems instead of comprehensive sex education. This position is based on the public health principle of primary prevention, risk avoidance in lieu of risk reduction, upholding the human rights to the highest attainable standards to health. To read more about the ACP's position, you can go out to, and I'm going to give you the address. You can go to www.acepds.org, or you can visit www.institutu.org/2012/Y-abstinence, and you can find this information. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend. We're on the move in 2015. All you have to do is go out there yourself. We just provided you this information. You don't have to believe us. Okay, we are providing fact. We're not, once again, Fox News or MSNBC or anybody else out there. We are providing you information that you can go out and search for yourself. And once you go out and search for yourself, you can also share this archive, by the way. Once this show has finished broadcasting, you can immediately go out and share it to your Facebook. You can share it on an email. You can share it on a text message. You can share it on Google. You can share it anywhere. You can copy and paste a link. It's just that simple. So if you want to get permission from, let's say, a minister, you want to get permission from a clergy, because they all have different titles. If you want to get a message from somebody who's working overseas that you want them to hear, matter of fact, they can log on right now and listen to us live on the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. Now, here's another question. Do parents and communities really want abstinence-centered education? According to their statistic, the answer is yes. According to the National Campaign to Prevent Teen Pregnancy, here it is. Now, we know that when you stay in some areas, some people don't see the sunlight because of the darkness. We know that some people don't have access to the real world. So here we are. Over 90% of parents and teens think teens should be given a strong message about the importance of abstinence, at least until they are out of high school. Let me say this again. Over 90% of parents and teens think teens should be given a strong message about the importance of abstinence. Parents strongly support abstinence education over comprehensive sex education. Now, when we look back in 2007, there was a national Zogby poll, and you guys know John Zogby, who does, like Rasmussen and all those other guys that's out there that makes a lot of money off of doing these polls. Parents preferred their child receive abstinence education over comprehensive sex education by a 2-to-1 margin. 8 out of 10 parents think it's important for their teen to wait until they're married to have sex. 8 out of 10 parents want schools to emphasize promoting abstinence over contraceptive use. Parents overwhelmingly support the abstinence education approach toward discussion and the discussions of contraception. Now, when we look at 9 out of 10 parents who want their teens to be taught how often condoms fail to prevent pregnancy based upon typical use and about the limitations of condoms in preventing specific diseases. 2 out of 3 parents think the way to have sex message ends up being lost when programs demonstrate and encourage the use of contraception. Now, 8 out of 10 parents think teens would not use a condom every single time. Now, if you look at a litigating standpoint, when you have a defense attorney and a prosecuting attorney, well, obviously one is going to do totally opposite of the other, and that's their job. And there may be some who will come and try to give you the opposite of what you hear tonight, and that will be fine. Because at least we can say that you had the option of knowing both sides of what's going on, both sides of the fence. Well, you see, it's better to either be on the left or the right than to straddle a fence, especially if it's a barbed wire fence. So when we look at all of this information that's being presented, the question is this: am I capable of making the right decision? Am I capable of doing my very best? Am I capable of giving my child some of the things that I may not have had when I was growing up? Am I capable of being a productive parent by giving the right information? Well, when we look at some of the other things that's going on, we hope that you can go out and find as much information as possible and make a conscious decision to those who are out there or those who represent you. When we look at the age groups or choosing the best programs targeted, and what are the key differences among the program? When we look at middle school programs, they include choosing the best way, grade 6, choosing best path, grade 7, choosing the best life, grade 8. High school programs include choosing the best journey, 9 through 10, and choosing the best soulmate, grades 11 through 12. All 5 curricula utilize best practices to most effectively provide abstinence in relationship education. However, the emphasis of way, path, life, and journey is on empowering students to delay having sex, while soulmate focus on teaching valuable relational skills necessary for a successful marriage, of which abstinence is a component. Way, path, and life and journey each cover the risk of teen sexual behavior. Path and life and journey also cover risk reduction versus risk elimination. There is a lot of information regarding this subject. Is the teacher training required? Well, the answer to that is no, but it is highly recommended. Each curriculum includes a detailed leader's guide that provides teachers with a comprehensive lesson plan on how to cover each topic. Therefore, training is not required to teach any of the Choosing the Best curriculum. However, post-training feedback from teachers consistently indicate that the training is extremely helpful in familiarizing them with the materials, provided a needed opportunity to practice teaching the class exercise. Now, if you remember back several years ago, the Colorado Parish School System offered the Life Skills Program, which was an evidence-based program that had been supported by the Office of Addictive Disorders. And we implemented that program from the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and the program worked fine. We allowed individuals to opt in or opt out of the program. The majority of those students participated in the program, and they learned valuable lessons. So here we are. We have given you information. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about is this. Some may be asking, how, as a parent, can I get involved? Well, Choosing the Best offers a parent education program, Parent Prep, that provides a great overview of abstinence-centered education and the CTB curriculum, as well as parent books. The Big Talk book. Both have produced excellent results with parents in communities across not just this parish, not just this state, but across the country. Now, you can contact the main office at 1-800-777-BEST or 1-800-774-2378, and you can request to speak with the regional director for your state. And I believe the regional director or one of the individuals is Miss Deanne Bingham. You can reach her at 225-219-4199, or you can email her at Deanna, DEANNE .BINGHAM at LA.gov. Once again, 225-219-4999. Email address is DEANNE .BINGHAM at LA.gov. Or you can contact the Colorado Parish School Board at 649-2689, and you can speak to Superintendent Carla Tillett. Or you can contact, as I stated, Dr. John Robinson, which is a board member. You can contact Gary Castles, C.R. Martin, Jack McKithen, David May, Jody Kenny, or Baron Glass, and they can give you information regarding this particular program, which is Choosing the Best, an evidence-based program, sex education curriculum that has been presented to Colorado Parish School Board and now has presented to you as a listener, a voter, a parent, a current constituent, or whatever the case may be. You have been listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio. We're looking at about 7:54 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we always have a request for this song. So for those who bared all of this information on Choosing the Best Sex Education Curriculum, we're going to play you some sounds of Alabama. Feel So Right. Here we are. We'll be back in about 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Tune in.
Whisper to me softly, breathe words upon my skin. No one's near and listening, so please don't say goodbye. Just hold me close and love me. Press your lips to mine. Feels so right. So right. Lying here beside you, I hear the echoes of your sighs. Promise me you'll stay with me and keep me warm tonight. So hold me close and love me. Give my heart a smile. Feels so right. Feels so right. Your body feels so gentle, and my passion rises high. You're loving me so easy. Your wish is my command. Just hold me close and love me. Tell me it won't end. Feels so right. Feels so right. Feels so right. Oh, you feel so right, baby.
Hello, this is Baron Glass, host of the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on the all-new #1 global radio station, WMAD. Before I do my live broadcasting, I always dine in at the all-new Main Street Seafood Restaurant located in downtown Columbia, Louisiana, owned and operated by Miss Brett. Check them out. I did. We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. We just rounded out our first hour talking about sex education curriculum, choosing the best, abstinence-centered program, evidence-based program. Is this going to be, or would this be, a benefit for your kids, your grandkids, or whatever the case may be, in Caldwell Parish school system as we decide on this particular curriculum? Now, your duty as a parent is to try and find out as much information as possible. And it's not hard to go out and find information. If you want to check, a fact check, look at the credibility, go out. I gave you the information. You can go back and listen to the archive. You can do whatever it is you want to do, but we have tried to provide a source of positive information so you, the parent and or taxpayer, can make a conscious decision on what would be beneficial to your kids. Now, let's look at another topic. Some have the misconception that drugs do not exist. Because you make an arrest today, it does not mean that there's not a criminal out there tomorrow that's steady doing drugs. So we applaud all of those who are out there making these drug arrests. We applaud you. So if the shoe fit, then you wear it. But if the shoe don't fit, then you don't wear it. That's simple mathematics to me. 1 + 1 always equal 2 unless you're talking about a -1 and a +1. And at that point, it equals 0. Now, we know that drug use is first and foremost a problem for the individual drug user. A community's drug problem emerges when there are a significant number of people engaging in a problematic drug use in a particular area, or the community does not have adequate resources to deal with the problem that has arisen. In many communities, we know that playgrounds, parks, recreational areas are taken over by those who use drugs, those who do drug trades, and they can become a no-go area for our kids. When we look at certain studies, some of those studies indicate that high levels of unemployment, lower level of secondary school completion, and the high school concentration on social housing can leave communities inadequately resourced to deal with these problems. Now, when we look at where we are, though we live in a small community, it is not immune from its share of drug-related crimes and problems that are associated with drugs. Removing ignorance from some and being logical and real with others, this job can keep law enforcement hands full on the battle against drugs and crime-related drugs. Drug crimes can be directly related to other crimes, and that's real simple. If anyone feels that drugs only affect the people who sell the drugs and consume the drugs, one is most definitely mistaken, delusional, and unrealistic at best. We know that drug-related crimes stem far beyond the personal effect of the user. Dealing with drug causes you, whoever you may be, to have to deal with theft, burglaries, robberies, assaults, in some cases and in some places, murder, which all can be attributed back to the drug use, and the drug traffic. Now, let us not forget about how drug use affects people. Let's look at drug-related deaths or long-term severe impairments. Let's look at drug overdose, suicide, and long-term illness, which can stem from heavy drug use. Some talk within their own circle. Some actually try to engage with those who deal with this on a daily basis. So some may be asking, what effect has drugs and alcohol on society, on the economy, or on young people or other people as well? When we look at this question, it can be very complex. And the reason why it can be complex is because some people's understanding is totally opposite than the other. Some people's understanding is based on darkness, and other people's understanding is based on the light. Some people's understanding is based on them in their own comfort zone. Some people's understanding is based on them getting outside of the box. See, because when you are dealing with complex problems, you can't just initialize these problems from the way you see it. Because if you do that, you only create a problem for yourself, and at some point, you make yourself appear to be misinformed, disingenuous to some degree, and have a misconception of what the problems are about. We know that drugs and alcohol is one way of not meeting and solving the problems of life. When people do not solve their problems, society will work less and will not work at its best. Drugs and alcohol can cause effects like illness, which can be expensive for society to cure. Let's look at an example like lung cancer by smoking cigarettes. Let's look at mental illness like psychosis or neurological illnesses. So when we look at the drug itself, it goes deeper than just the use of the drug. When we look at the use of alcohol, when we look at the narcotics during pregnancy, that will increase the likelihood of children with bad school results. And when grown up, they can end up underemployed, they can end up unemployed, and they can end up in a whole lot worse way than someone who has never experienced this type of situation. Now, we know from dealing with patterns of behavior of kids who were born out of drugs and alcohol use during pregnancy. If you look at those students' disciplinary reports, those actions, it's obvious that we have a problem. And again, for those who feel like we don't have a problem, then this broadcast may not be for you. Why? Because we are dealing with facts. It's 2015 and it's time to stop listening to all the hype. It's time to stop listening to all the political pundits that's out there who wants to divert from the truth. Now, are we saying that we are 100% accurate with the truth? No, we're not. But what we are saying is that the information that we are providing, it can be validated if you just get up out of your lazy boy recliner. If you get up out of your comfort zone and you go out there where these problems are seen and heard, you can see it for yourself. Well, if you are asleep at 9 or 10 o'clock and activities are going on at 9 or 10 o'clock, well, just politely get up in your vehicle, ride through neighborhoods, and you'll see for yourself. It's a shame when you have a nap. Well, let me back up. Just before I did this broadcast, one of the guys who is a retired vet indicated to me that he was riding today, and he come upon a little kid on a main highway, and this little kid had to be less than 5 but older than 3, walking in the streets by him or herself. His thing was, what should he do? He didn't want to get out of the vehicle because he didn't know what was going on. So he pulled up and watched another vehicle come through. And as they came through, he was going to get out of his vehicle and go and try to find the source of where this child is at. So that's just one example of a problem that's within a community. And why is it a problem? Because there's absolutely no way that a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old child should be walking up a main highway by him or herself in a diaper. Absolutely unacceptable. So when we look at all of this stuff, all of this information, we know that the high cost of narcotics abuse can cause economic catastrophe for the addict. We also know that the high cost can cause other criminalities, which cause extensive damages. We know that alcohol and drugs can make people behave in unsafe, irresponsible, and aggressive ways, and therefore forbidden in combination with driving vehicles, hunting when they're under the influence, so forth and so on. So when we look at all of this information, we find that now if we open our eyes and peel just a little of the scales, we can understand that regardless as to what happens today, tomorrow we still have the same problem. Now, when we look at due to the fact of all the widespread drugs like crack cocaine, like powdered cocaine, like angel dust, like marijuana, like LSD, like heroin, like crystal meth, and numerous other drugs that are out there, the demand for illicit drugs has increased significantly. And when I say significantly, I'm talking about starting at the age of 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12, and 13. It used to be adults, but it has backed down from adults to adolescents. So why are our adolescent kids using drugs? Nobody seems to know the answer to that question, because it is a complex situation that can easily be taken out of proportion with the wrong facts. Unfortunately, there are ready drug suppliers who have responded to the increased demand. The importation of illicit drugs throughout this country, throughout this state, more importantly throughout this parish, runs a close second to importation of petroleum oil. Now, We know that interstate commerce happens on a daily basis. How do we know that? Because all you have to do is stand on side of the highway and you'll see 18-wheelers coming through one by one with gasoline, oil, or whatever the case may be. So when you start to factor in the 18-wheeler going down the road, start factoring in for every truck that's going around, there may be one supplier that's trying to meet the demand of those who are out there buying. So the question remains is this: what as a parent can you do? What as a taxpayer can you do? Children need their parents all the time. Children need their parents or caregivers to help them make healthy choices in their life. They may act like they don't. I had a lady to call from another parish who indicated to me yesterday, all the while their child was in school at the earlier ages, they made all A's, never made anything less than an A. They just had the older daughter to graduate from college practicing attorney now, who made all A's. And the point she was making was that the child that I raised, or the kids that I raised, they came from a good family. The father is a minister. The mother is a school teacher. So the question is, how can this happen to a family like this? Well, no one is exempt nowadays, because we indicated in the earlier broadcast, peer pressure is something to be, it's a force to be reckoned with. So when we look at the young people, we know that they will make their own choices in life, including the use of drugs. But we as a parent can help them make healthy choices. We can be honest with our kids about what's going on. We can be honest with them about substance abuse, because what this does, it builds trust. We know that young people react strongly to double standards. We know that you, as the listener right now, can be a healthy role model. So if you're looking for somebody else to be a role model for your kids, why don't you try being the role model? Why don't you look in the mirror? Because when you look in the mirror, that's the person they want to see. That's the person they want to model themselves after. What you can do is spend time with your child as they grow up. And before they are into their teen years, young people are more likely to make safer choices if they know that someone cares. So rather than going to the juke joint, rather than going to the baseball game, or rather than just simply neglecting your child because you are tired, because you've been working a 12-hour shift, well, guess what? The 12-hour shift is something that you have to do as a result of the child. But something that you did not have to do was lay there and have the child. So as a result of you having the child, you have to spend time with this child even when you don't want to. Even when you don't want to. So we know that you have to listen to their ideals. We know that you have to listen to their opinions. You can teach them how to make good decisions because you can go out and get the facts. You can find out the risk. You can consider the other options. And then you can weigh up the consequences. And when you come up with a conclusion that is beneficial for you, tell a neighbor, tell a friend. How about telling your child that this is what I am advising? This is what I feel like you need to do. How about gradually let them make more decisions about what they want? Because as a parent, the job is not easy. We know that they have rewards out there on the streets. We know that people that's dealing will reward a kid a whole lot quicker than a child that's at home struggling. We know all of these things. We know that sometimes life has struggles. We know that sometimes life has ups and downs. We know that the road to progress is not always easy. But we know, rest assured, if you are a believer in God, if you believe that there is a higher power that's out there that can be reached through prayer and through the Son of Man, that all things are possible through him. Now, if you believe something else, I'm not sure what I can say, because there are things that are out there that we need help with, because we know that kids did not come with instruction. And if they did come with instructions, the question would be, will we all be following the same pattern? Will we all be raising the kid the same way? Now, I know that there are some of these candidates that are out there listed. So if you are running for office, we know that Clay Bennett is running for sheriff. We know that Mitch Bratton is running for sheriff. We know that Mr. Courtney Dunn is running for sheriff. We know that Mr. Hank Balls is running for sheriff. We know that Mr. David Crane is running for sheriff. So when you sit down and talk to these guys as they run for office and try to obtain your vote, talk to them about your concerns. Talk to them about the things that you would like to see. Now, they can't tell you that they're going to eliminate all drugs, because it's impossible. But they can say that they would do whatever they can do within the best of their ability or within the accordance of the law to successfully try to achieve this goal. You can run drugs from one place to the other. You can run drugs out of your neighborhood. But guess what? They're going to go into another neighborhood. That's why this job is so important. That's why the sheriff departments all across this country, that's why they need community support to buy into their particular program and understand that we work best together. United we stand, divided we fall. And if we fail, then we fail the next generation, which are the millennials. We cannot win this war by ourselves. We cannot accomplish this goal by ourselves. So last week we had over 50 to 100 individuals that were out there emailing their information. We know that there's somebody out there right now asking on Facebook to please submit your question. Whether you choose to do it or not, that's your prerogative. But you have the opportunity to submit any question of any kind, as long as it's decent and in order, to any candidate that's out there. Now, we know that we have Miss Dina Domain running for clerk of court. We know that we have Mr. Greg Richardson running for clerk of court. We know that we have Miss Cherie Cox running for clerk of court. We know that we have Miss Lauren Rogers Young running for clerk of court. And of course, we have Mr. David May that's running for clerk of court. So all of these people who are running for office, the time for you to display great character is when you see these individuals or they come knocking on your door. That is the time when you have the opportunity to ask whatever question it is you want to ask them about their candidacy or whatever it is that they are going to be doing as we try to tackle these particular problems that is going on. Now, we know that there are peer groups that are out there. We know that those peer groups will try their very best to influence your kid and anybody else that they can influence, because the devil's desire is to sift you like wheat. We know that people are being sifted on every day. We know that our kids are being exposed to things on a daily basis. We know that we cannot stop all of the things that are going on. But we do know that if we sit back and do nothing, the problem only gets worse. So when we look at my friend who is a mortician, and he tells me, say, sir, every time I have to cut open an individual and I find all of these types of drugs that are involved in the death, it's alarming. Why am I bearing so many of my black counterparts? Why do I have to wake up every night and day? Why do I have to deal with this when we as parents, we sit back and we complain? Mr. John is complaining about Miss Sally, but nobody's teaching their child that when they see an old lady walk across the street, that the best thing you can do is go and help this old lady across the street, and guess what? You shall receive a blessing. So the question is, where are our prerogatives? Where are our priorities at now? What are we willing to do as parents? What are we willing to do as leaders? What are we willing to do other than sit on Facebook and see other people doing something? Then you get out there and you criticize, you whine, and then you understand and you realize that you might have made a mistake. See, you can't shoot the friend and confuse them for enemies, because what you have to do, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to get out of your emotional trip or whatever it is that you have to become knowledgeable of who you're dealing with, because when you live in a glass house and you try to throw stones, what you do is you really make yourself look lesser than who you are. And for you who do that, my commentary is coming directly and strictly at your doorstep. As a matter of fact, it's coming directly to your heart. And I'm going to speak directly to that. And I call that ignorance. The one thing that we don't do, we do not mince our words, because our goal is to try to help somebody along the way. And we will not allow anybody to destroy that message because you don't understand what it is that's going on. Well, if you don't understand, try asking, because you teach a kid in the classroom, if I don't understand something, raise your hand and ask the teacher. Rather than defy and go against the grain, rather than continue to have that old slave man mentality, why don't you try to change? Why don't you try to make a difference? Why don't you get up and get out, rather than use your emotions to dictate the outcome of what somebody else is doing? I want to thank all of those who came out yesterday and met in the community. And that was Mr. David Crane, Deputy Becky Ledbetter, Miss Pam Wooten, Mr. Wendell Fagans, Miss Sylvia Robinson, Miss Lorraine Legg, and there were a few others. They came out yesterday and met. And we talked about some of the things that's going on within the community. One being drugs. One being young kids that's 8, 9, and 10 at 11 and 12 o'clock at night with guns in their hands, standing in front of the streets, blocking the roads. I have everybody that's in the neighborhood picking up the phone calling, what is it that we can do? What is it that we can do? What is it that we can do? So if you don't believe what's being said, politely get up out of your comfort zone and ride throughout the parish. And you too might be able to see what's going to, because see, the goal is to tell a neighbor, tell a friend, what is it that we can do collectively to work together. You do not have to like the messenger, although you may like the message, but you can't separate the message from the messenger. If you don't like it, that's fine, but you can make a difference. And the goal is for all of us to make a difference. The Bible says, united we stand, or a house divided can't stand the storm. So the old cliche is, united we stand, divided we fall. We talk about liberty and justice for all. We talk about equal rights for everybody. We talk about this. We talk about that. But nobody's walking the walk. We talk about we want racial harmony. We want everything to be okay. But you're doing everything the opposite to make it okay. So who is zooming who? The question is, we know that things are going on. So one may be asking, how will I know if my son or daughter is taking or using drugs? Well, the answer is that there is no easy way for you to tell. The effects of that question may not be easy to see. We know that the effects of the drug might have worn off before they come home. We know how slick we were when we were younger. So just imagine if we take the world is wiser and weaker. They are more wiser than we were. So we know that they have figured out a whole lot of ways to get around mama and daddy knowing what's going on. Even when there is a major change in behavior, it could be caused by something else, such as an illness from a drug, from an alteration from a drug, or whatever the case may be. When you look at unusual or out of character behavior, start paying attention. When we look at silence or anger towards others, or sulking, Start paying attention. When we look at mood swings, start paying attention. When we look at more than unusual rather, lack of cooperation and rudeness, start paying attention. When we look at avoid being with or talking with the family, start paying attention. Let's look at the dropout. Let's look at truancy within the schools. Start paying attention. How about dropping out of regular activities that they always were a part of? Start paying attention. Let's look at the change of friends from those who used to be good and now are hanging with those who are bad. Start paying attention. We're talking today about sex education curriculum, drugs in the community, and local politics. Let's look at eating problems. Let's look at changes in physical appearances. Let's look at like red eyes, lack of energy, tired all the time. But what you can't do, what I'm asking you not to do, is as a parent, as one who has an investment in the community, let's not jump to conclusions. Remember that there are many reasons other drugs that might be causing these changes. We know that it is a good idea to react. We know that it is a good idea to be proactive. But the question remains, what is it that you are willing to do as a parent? We know it's complicated. We know that it can become frustrating. We know that acting on wrong conclusions can damage your relationship with your child and create a better relationship with the drug dealer that's out there on the street. To raise the subject of illegal drugs, you need to be able to talk with some confidence. And the only way you can find confidence is to find out the true facts, to find out what it is that's going on. I have an individual who just messaged and says on the sex education curriculum, I think it should not be taught. I think what needs to be taught is AIDS, AIDS, AIDS. They just don't seem to get that if you have sex, you can die. I think we need to do like a scared straight on our children. Put some fear in them. Not teach them how to put a condom on a banana. Well, that's a respondent. Okay, and what we're going to do is always allow those to do as we said. There are messages being sent in, and we will try to do as much as to broadcast as much information as possible. Now, the way you talk to your child, the way you convey your message to your child will make a difference in how your child responds to you. So the job as a parent, it never ends. The job as a parent trying to make sure that your child always get the best, it never ends. It never ends. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause and play a little Eye of the Tiger Survivor. For those who are out there listening, you're listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. We're looking at about 8:29 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll be back in about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Stay tuned. The mindset of reaching the world is one to have. Our message is for empowerment within our community. However, we need to reach all communities to let them know that we are valid, we have respect, and we deserve respect, and on the move in 2015. We want you to join us on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio and the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on Waco 4th State Community Talk Radio, prime time at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Monday nights. We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio. As always, we have given each individual candidate that's running for office the opportunity to submit as much information as possible, supplemental information or whatever the case may be, that they would like the listeners, our listeners, to understand and know about them and or their candidacy. And each individual broadcast, we have tried to put that information out and make sure that anybody who wants to utilize this particular broadcast right now, they may do so. We broadcast local and state politics each and every Thursday night, rather, at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Tonight, of course, we started at 7 o'clock because we had several different requests to do different pieces of information. So here we are, about 8:35 p.m. Central Standard Time. Mr. David Crane submitted supplemental information with regards to things about going on. Mr. Crane says, this is to inform you that David L. Crane will be seeking the office of sheriff in the October 24th election of this year. David doesn't claim to be a seasoned politician, but he has the experience and the desire to serve the citizens of Caldwell Parish and enforce the law fairly to all. David and his wife, Becky Ledbetter Crane, have raised their 5 children in Caldwell Parish and are now blessed with 5 grandchildren being raised in our parish. It is his desire to see our parish and its citizens prosper without the fear of the drug criminal element infesting our schools, homes, and neighborhoods. David started his law enforcement career in 1996 in Caldwell Parish under the administration of Sheriff Charles Thompson, and in 1997 graduated from the North Delta Regional Training Academy. While working under Sheriff Thompson's administration, he made hundreds of narcotic arrests and diligently worked to rid our parish of illegal drugs. When the current administration took place in July of 2000, he sought employment with the Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office under the administration of Sheriff Richard Fuel. He started in the Patrol Division and was transferred to the Special Crimes Apprehension Team, the SCAT team, which specializes in street-level narcotics and criminal interdiction investigation. He has worked his way up through the ranks, and he is currently the lieutenant over the Special Crimes Apprehension Team under the administration of Sheriff Jay Russell. David has made thousands of drug arrests, which includes misdemeanor and felony offenses, where he has testified in countless state and federal court cases. During his career, he has had thousands of hours of training in all aspects of the law and have been trained by the best of the best. He is a certified instructor in emergency vehicle operation, tactical vehicle intervention PIT, standardized field sobriety testing, and has instructor development through the FBI. David has been a police academy instructor since 2001 and has occasionally filled in as an instructor at the criminal justice classes at ULM. Even though David works in Ouachita Parish, he has always remained involved in our community. He has coached boys baseball and girls softball for approximately 16 years. The last 4 years, he has coached his oldest granddaughter. He is currently coaching his 5- and 6-year-old pitch softball team, as well as his 4-year-old grandson and 3-year-old granddaughter T-balls team. He has always believed that if you keep children involved in sports and other activities, it may deter them from being introduced to drugs. He plans on establishing a program through the sheriff's office that will allow our students to attend a youth cadet police academy during the summer while out of school. David started a part-time business in construction and remodel in 2007. He handles all the financial and payroll responsibilities for the business, which now has 3 full-time employees. In August of 2014, David was appointed to the Caldwell Parish Recreation Board and was elected as president of the board by his fellow board members. He, along with board members Lori McElwain, Calvin Wooten, Kerry Thompson, Paul Rocketmore, Chad Ryan, and Heath Williams, have updated the recreation facilities and implemented many new programs for our citizens. They have done so much in a short period of time. They will also establish a safety program for women and their teenage daughters of our parish to train them in self-defense. If blessed to be elected as your sheriff, David pledges to work well with all local law enforcement in agencies and branches of government, as well as all outside parish agencies. He has made several law enforcement friends all across our state that are beneficial resources that can be called upon if needed. David knows it takes a team and everyone involved to combat the drug problem in our parish. He vows to utilize whatever resources are needed to complete that task. David believes with his experience and his faith in God that he can be the leader people of Caldwell Parish deserve. David is looking forward to spending a lot of time and speaking with citizens of Caldwell Parish in the upcoming weeks. He welcomes and will discuss any concerns or issues you may have. He doesn't want to be an 8-to-5 sheriff. He pledges that he will be sheriff 24 hours a day. He vows to have a trained, certified deputies that can handle any of your needs. Deputies will be required to keep a physical fitness standard, and they will be role models to our children and will treat every citizen fairly and with respect. If you have any questions or concerns you would like to discuss with David Crane, you can call him at 318-649-3325. Your call is important to him, so if there is no answer, please leave a message and he will return your call. Caldwell Parish citizens to elect David Crane 2015. That is feedback from Mr. David Crane that has been submitted. Once again, we have sheriff candidates Clay Bennett, Mitch Bratton, Courtney Dunn, Hank Balls, and of course Mr. David Crane. For clerk of court, we have Mr. David May, Miss Lauren Rogers Young, Miss Cherie Cox. We have Mr. Greg Richardson, and we have Miss Dina Domain. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pause and play you a little Louisiana favorite, Mr. Keith Frank, the Zydeco boss. Don't forget about me. We'll be back in about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Stay tuned.
Now we're going to take you back, y'all. Yeah, Jim. Yeah, Jim. Yeah, George. Do it, George. Do it now. Yeah, you're right. Oh, darling, I'm so lonely without you. And I can't sleep at night, always thinking about you. Oh, darling, please let me come back home. 'Cause your love way too long. Yeah, toi.
It's time to take back control of our society. Today's world requires an open and honest discussion about the current events. On the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, our goal is to engage people from different walks of life into a healthy discussion, creating a positive outcome. When it comes to global events, tune in to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on Monday nights at 7:30. We don't just listen to the news, we bring you the news. If you are looking for some good music to listen to while on the job, while driving, or simply want to relax, move on over to thesmokingglasshour.com and scroll to the bottom of the page. Press play, or you can download the TuneIn app on your smartphone and search for WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio. Give us a chance to massage those ears with some good sultry sounds with music for adults and lovers. You are now listening to WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio. We're talking sex education curriculum tonight. We're talking local politics tonight, and we're also talking drugs within our community. Anytime there are differences, people will always either understand or misunderstand. We know that election time is near. As a matter of fact, I believe the election is October the 23rd. So we are asking that you tell a neighbor, tell a friend, and get up and get out and go vote. It does not matter who you vote for, but please go out and vote. It's one of the few rights that you have. And if you look around, every time you turn around, there's somebody out there trying to trample, once again, the way that you have the access to voting. I want to send a shout out to Mr. Mitch Bratton. I believe he's out there listening. I can pretty much get a good premise of what's going on as far as the listening audience. So I want to thank Mitch out there for listening. I believe Clay is probably out there listening. I believe David May is probably out there listening as well. I believe David Crane is out there listening. I know Courtney always go back and listen to the archive. So for those candidates who are running and who have seen the opportunity that this broadcast has for their candidacy, I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen in and allow us to get out the message and allow us the opportunity to spark those to come out and get involved in the political process. Now, we don't go around, soliciting somebody's support. What we do is tell them what's going on, and we kind of run it from that standpoint. When we look at social media, we know that sometimes social media has a way of creating cowards into having courage. We know that sometimes people that have emotions can always sometimes get the wrong understanding. We know that Facebook is really not for everybody. We know that Facebook can create, not just Facebook alone, but social media as a whole can create all types of misunderstanding. We know that people, weak-minded people, will always get the wrong understanding, will get the wrong impression. So we know that sometimes we have to be a little bit more forgiving than we would under normal circumstances. So when we get to these issues of misunderstanding, when we get to these issues of lack of communication, when we get to these issues of people having this delusion or illusion that everything they say is gold and everything somebody else says glitter, we always make matters worse than what they should be. So we're going to try to make sure that, there's always an understanding of things that could be right and things that could be wrong. So we're going to kind of entertain a little bit before we actually close the broadcast. We're going to play a little Eric Clapton, Change the World. And that's another favorite request by some that are always out there listening. We're going to listen to, once again, Eric Clapton, Change the World.
If I can reach the stars, pull one down for you, shine it on my heart, so you could see the truth. And this love I have inside is everything it seems. But for now I find it's only in my dreams that I can change the world. I'll be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good. Maybe if I could change
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. In closing, we know that some people lack the ability to critically think. It's called deductive logic is absent. And if we want it to be more abstract, we call it cognitive limitations. Therefore, a critical thinking person appears to be an enemy of an irrational or illogical minded individual. When we are personally connected to an issue, it is difficult to be objective. Therefore, it's easy to become emotional. With the emotions, we can become irrational. Trying to communicate with an emotional, reactive, irrational person is exhausting and often a waste of precious time. Never before has the need for staking out common ground seemed more acute. We see the need in politics, in public discourse, even in court decision, with most elements of our political community retreating to greater polarization along many dimensions is a must. People have a right to be ignorant. Just as we can choose to damage our health by overeating, smoking cigarettes, and neglecting to take prescribed medication, we can also choose to remain uninformed on public policies, on policy issues, what goes on in the community outside of where you stay, what you believe based on his story, not on history, and many other reasons of choice. Perhaps ignorance makes sense sometimes. Rational ignorance come into play when the cost of gaining enough understanding of an issue to make an informed decision relating to it outweighs the benefit that one could reasonably expect from doing so. People get scared of the truth because their ignorance won't allow them to believe nothing other than a lie. People are particularly likely to exercise their right to ignorance, rational or not, when it comes to issues of politics, what goes on outside of their community, and when they feel guilty or when they fail to become logical. If we look back in 2001, there was a study that was sponsored by the United States National Science Foundation. The study found that roughly half of the people surveyed understood that the earth circles the sun once a year. 45% could give an acceptable definition of DNA, and only 22% understood what a molecule was. In 1995, when we look at expressed concerns by some about the trend toward a society in which clutching our crystal and religiously consulting our horoscopes, our critical faculties in steep decline, we slid almost without noticing into superstition and darkness based on pure ignorance. Most recently, there has been a warning that in the practice of medicine, popular approaches to farming and food, policies to reduce hunger and disease, and many other practical issues, there is an undercurrent of irrationality based on ignorance that threatens science-dependent progress and even the civilized basis of our democracy. See, again, some people lack intelligence. Some people lack understanding. Indeed, while people are entitled to believe in horoscopes, trust in crystals to bring good luck, or buy into believing that drugs don't exist in our communities and it's a problem, that racism is alive and well, that people are discriminated against daily, quack medicine, such as junk science, becomes a serious threat to society when it is allowed to influence public policy or what one thinks is true based purely on ignorance. Unfortunately, those who choose ignorance are immune to or simply prefer to ignore reason. They refuse to allow this country to grow. They refuse to allow this state to grow. Better yet, they refuse to let our parish grow. The only thing that grows is their pure ignorance. Face it, folks. Drugs, crime, and sex, and anything you can think of that happens in other places, guess what? They happen right here. And if you think it doesn't, then you are living in a fool's paradise. You are delusional. You are in 100% denial, my friend. And it will not do any good for you to be a part of unity and progress in any community. The question is, why are so many people afraid of so many things? We can look at several factors, including the success of others, when it's clear you have not met success as of yet. A deep-seated distrust of people you know nothing about, nor care to get to know anything about that person, or the public's insatiable appetite for stories that tell lies, stereotypes, which the media duly cater to and people buy into on a daily basis. Regardless of a person's reason, people have the right to choose to be ignorant, but allowing that choice to drive public policies, dictate the thinking of others because you fail to think outside the box, because some believe in diversity, unity, and the core fabric of what the Bible teaches, constitutes a serious threat to scientific, social, and economic development within this country, this state, and this parish. Wise up. Open your eyes and realize that because you say 2 + 2 = 4, and your counterpart says 4 - 2 = 2, both are right, just two different paths taken to arrive at the same conclusion. The old saying is this: there's no fool like an old fool. Today in 2015 is a different day. It's not the 60s when people could not vote. It's 2015, whether you or anyone else likes it or not. Finally, we are all flawed and fallible human beings. We do make mistakes. I make them, but I am not afraid to admit them, and every one of you listening to this broadcast make mistakes and will continue to make mistakes on a daily basis. When we look at the President of the United States, when we look at the Congress and the Senate, when we look down into the governor's races, when we look down into the state races, when we look down into the local municipalities, we know that judges, juries, and jailers, they all make mistakes. We know that police officers make mistakes. We know that parents make mistakes. The list has no end. We are all guilty of this. As such, I can only look above to heaven and ask God to forgive all of us for the mistakes we've made in the past and the mistakes we will make from henceforth and forevermore. It's one thing to be born ignorant, but it's totally different to die ignorant, especially when all the knowledge one needs is in the other person, but you fail to seize the moment because of your blindness and your ignorance to step outside of the box, outside of your comfort zone. Don't blame others who have no fear. Live and let live. Regardless of their reasoning, people have the right to choose to be ignorant. You have been listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. We're going to close this out by playing some Neither One of Us by Gladys Knights and the Pips.
It's sad to think we're not gonna make it, and it's gotten to the point
Thank you for tuning in to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio. Tonight's topic, we touched on sex education curriculum, local politics, and drugs in the community. I want to say thanks once again, and may the good Lord be with you and have a great night.